Hello, and welcome to Reddit Rewind, where we cover Reddit's most ridiculous stories. My little sister punches an EK who has been harassing her for months. His EP makes a scene and said she asked for it. Hello, everyone. I have discovered this subreddit a few days ago, and I absolutely fell in love with your stories. I would like to share one of mine, though I have noticed a fairly similar story is on the all-time top posts. My apologies for any similarities. Also, as I'm writing this, I've noticed this post is becoming quite long. I will provide a TLDR in the bottom for those who just want to cut to the chase. For this story to make sense, I need to share a little backstory. I am a soon-to-be 26-year-old guy, and I got adopted when I was 8. My adoptive parents later got children of their own. They're 14 now, twins, boy and a girl, hence the big age gap. Our parents both are ER surgeons and have always worked their butts off so me and my siblings can have the best life they can give us. They are doing their utmost not to have long shifts at the same time, but since hospitals are understaffed, they often do have to work overlapping shifts. Me being 12 years older than my siblings, they have put faith in me helping them out whenever I can. This means, among other things, that I am one of the emergency contacts their schools call whenever there is trouble. One day, I'm studying in my flat when I get a call around noon. This is one of the school secretaries, who informs me that I need to come ASAP to the school and pick up my little sister. They won't give me any more information except for the fact that she is unharmed. Okay, so I hop in my car, drive to the school, and arrive about 20 minutes later. As I enter the main building and inform that I have arrived, I am asked to join some people at the principal's office. Before I enter the glass door, I can see my sister sitting in a chair, sobbing. Sitting in two other seats are two visibly pissed off adults and a boy about her age. I recognize the kid immediately. It's the boy that has been bullying and harassing her for months. When I say harassing, I don't mean giving her a shove every now and then. No, I mean grabbing her chest, slapping or squeezing her buttocks, and putting his hand between her legs. Both our parents and myself have addressed this multiple times to the principal and several teachers. Nothing changed. However, and since I was seeing my sister becoming afraid and reluctant to go to school, I asked my girlfriend, 24, and her sister, 22, for help. You see, they have been practicing karate for several years now. They know how to defend themselves, and I was sick and tired of the school doing jack. So I asked them to give my sister some self-defense lessons and volunteered myself as a training dummy slash sparring partner. And my sister is good, y'all. The three of us also had a chat with her about when and how to use her newly found skill, so she wouldn't use it just because. I enter the principal's office, and before the principal offers me a seat, the boy's father scoffs and says something amongst the line of, "We've been waiting here for hours, just for another kid to show up." I ignore this remark and take a seat next to my sister and start to console her. I ask the principal what was the meaning of this. He informs me that my sister is being expelled until the end of the next week and will have detention every Wednesday for the remainder of the semester for punching another student. Without giving me any time to react, the boy's mother bursts out, "Punching! Punching! She committed senseless violence against my son!" The necklace father of the boy didn't say anything but nodded in approval of the nonsense his wife just uttered. Staring at them for a while, I turn to my sister and ask her if this is the boy she's been talking about. She nods. Addressing the principal, I tell him that both me and our parents have contacted the school about the boy's behavior towards my sister, how she's been groped and harassed for months, and about how she's been afraid to come to school. The boy starts fake crying, and before the principal can draw a breath so he can react, his father leaps up. "How dare you? My son would never do such a thing. Your sister attacked him. I demand she is being expelled from the school right this instant." Trying to ignore the fact that I should have brought an umbrella against the gallons of spit that this man's mouth spewed forth, I inform him again that several complaints have been made against his son's behavior. Now turning to the principal, I tell him that I am appalled by the fact that nothing has changed, and this, together with the lack of interest in his students' well-being, has left us with no other choice than to teach my sister how to defend herself. Before the father can once again make me regret not bringing a before-mentioned umbrella, I add that my sister would never attack anyone without her having a reason for it. The mother, ignoring pretty much everything I said, reminds us that her son would never do such a thing, and that my sister is probably asking for it in the first place. You know, because a shy 13-year-old girl just loves being the center of attention, and she likes getting grabbed all over her body. I'm starting to realize that as soon as I entered the principal's office, I was never going to win the argument. The principal is sitting spinelessly in his chair, observing the spectacle that is unfolding in front of him. The fat, smug faced little brat boy is watching my sister, who is still sobbing, with a big grin on his face. The father is breathing like an out of shape rhinoceros, ready to attack anything that moves. The mother is caressing her son's head while making rude remarks about my sister and the fact that we must have the worst parents for not being present. I stand up and quietly tell my sister to grab her bag. The boy's father asks where I'm going. In answer, I'm taking my sister home. His face gets red, shouting, "We're not done here." I inform that, in fact, we are done. I tell him that I no longer tolerate my sister going to a school that allows a sexual delinquent in the making to do whatever he pleases. I add that any more communication will be through our lawyer, which happens to be her godfather, and that they will probably hear from him first. As for the fallout, my parents were already planning on pulling my sister from the school and having her go to another. Of course, only they knew about it, but I wasn't about to tell that. They were quite shocked I took the executive decision of pulling her out of that school, but 100% have my back. Of course, as her parents, they formally took the necessary steps. As for the school and the little boy, charges have been filed against the school's negligence. TLDR, sister punches a boy that has been sexually harassing her for months. School didn't do jack, so she has been taught to defend herself. She defends herself and gets sent to the principal's office. I get invited to talk about what happened. Boys' entitled parents can't accept the fact they raised a pathetic little predator in the making and accuse my sister of asking for it and falcon punching her son into a coma. Being tired of this crap, pulled my sister out of this pathetic excuse of a school. Charges have been filed against the school. Edit, minor spelling mistakes. Update, I reached out to the lawyer/godfather. Charges have been filed against the school for negligence. The opening session took place about a year ago. Unfortunately, we live in a country where courts are drowning in work. The actual debates will only take place in a few months, though it will be a while before we have any definitive outcome, considering the school is likely to appeal. We have a pretty decent case. Our lawyer is convinced that the school will have to pay substantial damages. Although the principal is protected by the school, there's a good chance that he will have to resign, which, I have just learned, isn't yet the case. Nothing legally can be done against the boy, although we have asked for a psychiatric evaluation. Most likely, his parents aren't going to take him to see anyone, so I'm guessing that'll be in vain. I apologize for not being able to give you a more satisfying answer. As soon as I have more news, I'll be sure to give you all an update. Now, that's a crap story. I feel really bad for that girl. The fact that she was dealing with this sexual predator/bully and kept telling everyone about it, including her family, the school, the parents talking to the school, and nothing happening. So she had to take matters in her own hands because they weren't doing anything. And then once she's just trying to stick up for herself and not be sexually harassed by this little monster, she's the one who gets punished for it. Yeah, this story kind of grosses me out and just shows the problems that some of these schools have to deal with because people don't know how to parent and won't accept the fact that maybe their kids do have a problem. So they bring it to the school and expect the school to solve it, but don't want to address it themselves when it does blow up. And other people are the ones that get punished for it. But no, good for this girl. I'm glad she stuck up for herself. And I'm glad her brother, who posted the story, the OP, had the wherewithal and the brains to pull her out, and that the parents were then cool with it. So good on him for looking out for little sis and teaching her karate and making that great executive decision. So I looked through the comments section and I found a few posts that I thought were relevant to this story. My sister had a similar problem with a boy in high school. She ended up squirrel gripping, that's a squeezing and twisting his testicles, until he screamed like a piglet. She was almost given suspension until my parents reminded the school that this issue with the boy sexually harassing her had been reported to them many times, and that they will now take this issue to the police and lawyer to deal with the school's negligence and the boy's behavior. The boy ended up punished by the school, but not his parents. Now that story right there, much more satisfying. Girl gets revenge, not only on him physically after he was being a jerk and taking care of his unwanted advances, but also he later then gets punished for it by the school, showing that he was the instigator and being a creep. So, no, this is good. And the fact that the parents don't get punished, well, that's pretty much typical. I think having a crap son like that with a real issue is punishment enough as it is. So, the next comment: I am happy your sister stood up against the boy who was harassing her. Good move on your parents' side putting their foot down. Standing up against aggressor, especially when the issue is known, should not be punished. Also, going to add squirrel gripping to my vocabulary now. Yeah, that term squirrel gripping was also new to me. Probably will be adding that to my vocabulary, although I don't see too many opportunities where I would be using it, but it's a good one to have in the back burner. And yes, that ending was much more satisfying. And the last comment: a friend of mine's daughter had a similar situation in the 1970s. She finally gave in and slugged the crap out of her tormentor. But good, after weeks of unaddressed tormenting. His mommy Wami drove up to their house in a wrecked beater of a car and started screaming obscenities at the bitch who hurt my little boy. He was 16. My friend strolled out and said more or less, "So, you want the entire world to know that your big, strong son got beat up by a girl in front of his friends who did nothing?" Stupid cow burned rubber and was never seen or heard from again. As for a precious baby boy, he left my friend's daughter alone. So this problem's been going on for a while. The girl stood up for herself, beat the crap out of him, and when the EK came in to protect her little son, the monster, because he got beat up by a girl, she just stated the facts, and it was so embarrassing she had to leave. Yeah, I understand why she never came back. Well, that was our story for today. I hope none of you ever have to deal with a situation like this and don't deal with any harassers or bullies like the ones mentioned in these stories, because that's the kind of situation is no fun at all for anyone. Well, I hope you liked our story today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and till next time.